I'm okay with the changes that are happening, and I'm letting God just do what he has to do and take it all in. But yes, as you're getting your lip gloss pop in, welcome guys to another week's episode of Eat Fruit Pod. I'm your girl Kay.
And I'm your girl Killa. 4 A's to you. Make sure you do that, because if I have to tell you that twice, I'm gonna be pissed off.
Okay, and welcome guys. We took last week off, and thank you for just showing your support and showing us that you still rock with us even though we took that week off. But before we get started into everything, Killa, I know I just went on a tangent a lot, but how was your week? How have you been? What's been happening? We haven't really talked much this week. I felt like, I know we've both been in our rabbit hole, so
there's a lot going on. Yeah. Just a lot of shifts, just a lot of God talking to me, a lot of me having to figure out what I gotta do next, shit falling to the wayside, shit blowing up in my face, the ground moving underneath me, but that's fucking normal. That's usual shit. Yeah. Just another day in the life. That's what's going on.
legit.
Right. Yeah, man. How about you?
Legit. My week overall has been like great so far. I will say, like, I've had a few meetings that like I'm looking forward to what can happen. So thank God for that. Another week of not having COVID, so I will not take that for what is the word? Yeah, for granted, because, you know, especially with flu season, everything upon us, like it's becoming super crazy. So I'm hoping everyone out there is just staying as safe as possible, whatever that means to you, because I am not forcing that on anyone, but whatever being safe means to you, I hope you are practicing that. And yeah, I just like, there's a lot of things that are happening. I was just saying to Killa, I definitely want to talk about certain things, but I don't want to talk about it yet because I just want to kind of finish going through the stages. But I'm upset. I'm upset. I'm upset, but I'm healthy upset, if that makes it if that makes any sense. Like I'm upset, but not like in a healthy, like unhealthy, like going outside and like, you know, doing all those releases, but I'm acknowledging everything that I'm feeling and thinking and not being afraid to like explore the thoughts more and being like, why do I feel like this? Why is it triggering me? And why is the conditioning hitting so hard? But it will make more sense when we talk about it.
Those all sound like hard-hitting questions that most people are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, that's what they talk about when you say doing the work, for being honest.
Period. So I'm thinking, Killa, that's pretty much how my week was. I want to remind you guys to please continue to write us a review on either YouTube, on any of the listening DSPs, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, whatever you listen to us on, and let us know what you think. Give us a star rating. Help us to like see what's going on and moving up in those charts, because these Toronto girls, we're going to be taking over.
Hey.
Killa, usually that's her response, but that is the shit I will say on the regular. So that's what that is. Yeah, so moving forward, unfortunately, we've had to say goodbye to Michael K. Williams, and definitely want to send my condolences to him and his family and his fans and anyone that was just in support of him or affected by this loss. Yeah.
100%. So today we're going to be about a celebration of Mr. Michael K. Williams, because he was actually an extremely exceptional human being. I mean, we don't have nearly enough time to run through his like filmography, because whoa, like those are credits like I've never seen before. But he's had a very long career with dance, videos, TV series, movies, commercials, whatever you can think of. He has like these little interesting facts that I really love. Let's talk about some of the video, or just name off some of the videos that he's been. He's been in videos for Marilyn Manson. He was in the famous Freeway Hood classic, What We Do, as himself. He was even in the Ghostface Killer Love Don't Live Here Anymore video. And there's so many other videos. There's so many other like rap songs and stuff that he was part of. But I just started those because I love Ghostface Killer.
Yes, we do.
Freeway is the Hood Nigga Classic. So we got that. We also know him for famously being Mr. Omar Little on The Wire. Can't forget that he's the one that like gave y'all hood niggas y'all passes.
Yeah.
Don't forget about that. Also as Chalky White on Boardwalk Empire. I never got into Boardwalk Empire, but I do remember it being the shiz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I remember it because of him. Actually, I'm like, who they put this black man in? What is this? But I never bothered to watch it because those aren't my thing. For the last couple of years, he's been Smokey Greenwood on F is for Family.
Yes.
So here was something that I found very interesting about him. He was inspired by Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation, and it caused him to feel like he should get up, leave school and his job, and become a dancer.
Jeez, that is fire. That's fire.
Because he got up and he said, "Man, fuck this shit. I'm gonna do what's in my heart." And Michael K. Williams.
That's fire.
Some of the videos that he is in, also, he was on tour with George Michael, and he's done tours and videos for Madonna. Here's the fact. He choreographed Pure Love by Crystal Waters. Take that in. Take that in. Major. Alrighty. One thing that I've noticed about his story is that it's very serendipitous and auspicious. Like he lived a very beautiful life, even though it wasn't necessarily easy. There's no way his life could have been easy. It just wasn't set up that way. Yeah. But he somehow his life turned his negatives into his positives. And one of those were his iconic scar, the scar from here all the way down. Yeah. He got it on his 25th birthday at a bar fight at a bar in Queens, Jackson, Queens. And that's kind of what helped catapult his career as an actor. So that's like crazy ass shit in my opinion.
That's almost like Samuel L. Jackson with him he used to be like a thing, and that's so fire. Okay.
Yeah. Number 2, he was molested as a child, but he was very open about his sexual confusion after that. And he ended up being a major figure in the LGBT community for Black men who, one, have probably experienced that or have had issues with their sexuality that they can't speak about. Now you have somebody that looks like you that represents you in that LGBT community, and he was actually well respected for that. You know what I mean? He does have a child, but he was very open with the fact. He was also very open about the fact that he had mental health issues. Yeah. And I feel like he was some form of a light worker. We may not have understood what he was doing because he was just living in his light. And when you see people acting like, oh, well, you got to do this to be successful. You got to do that to be successful. I look at his life and I see success all over him. And I see him kind of just like moving forward into his success as opposed to worrying about things that were going wrong. And I don't know what he was doing personally. I don't know what his processes were. I don't know any of that shit, but I'm looking at his legacy because I'm looking at his outcomes, and they were major. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to celebrate that kid.
I love that.
Unfortunately, I was loving him off in his life and I was always repping him, but I don't want to talk about his death. I want to talk about how awesome that life was and the fact that like he done did his work. I don't even really feel like I need to get into the circumstances as to why he's gone. I just feel like he did his work, and no matter how it happened, his body of work is kind of just sitting there doing what it do.
Well, let me let me just list off as many as I can of some of the stuff he's been a part of. The Kill Point, Love, that movie that was with Common, Snow on the Bluff, F is for Family, he did voiceover work in there, Black Market, Dispatches, and I really love that series. Shout outs to Vice because they're one of the few content creator digital media networks out there that similar to Hard White, which is another one of the YouTube. I just find like they really keep that realness and they don't shy away from telling those real journalistic, like Fargo type stories. So always love and respect. So Black Market was, I remember that series very vividly, and like Michael K. Williams would be going to some serious places in the trenches, heavy. You would need a heavy cosign to go in some of those places with a camera. And I can always count on him to give us great informational work like that. Anesthesia, The Philanthropist, I Think I Love My Wife, Chris Rock, Trapped in the Closet, R. Kelly, sorry guys. They They Die by Dawn, Bullet, The Spoils Before Dying, Ghostbusters, When We Rise, Brooklyn's Finest, Central Park 5, Life During Wartime, Kill the Messenger, The Road, The Django Unchained, The Public, Inherent Vice, When the Bow Breaks. That was that one with I never quite watched it, but I remember it was being promoted with like Morris Chestnut, etc. Belly 2, that was the one with like the game in it. Captive, that was like a little series. I shouldn't say it was a series. Arkansas, RoboCop, Critical Thinking, Assassin's Creed. I don't care if I'm annoying you guys. I'm gonna go through these. The Purge, 999, Bessie, which I loved. Queen Latifah also killed that. I think he played like her love interest that like Bessie was kind of like, I don't want to say dissing, but like remember she was like a serious like alpha energy. Okay. The Gambler, The Sopranos, Community, Snitch. That was yeah. Motherless Brooklyn, 12 Years a Slave, Gone Baby Gone. And those are the days when Ben Affleck was like at his prime, okay? Sorry?
Did you say Law and Order?
No. Doing Hard Time, The Red Sea Diving Resort, Superfly, The Night of, When They See Us, The Purge, Anarchy, Hap and Leonard, Body Brokers, Boardwalk Empire, like you said, Lovecraft Country, and The Wire, which he's most famously known for. So there's a lot. And I also want to make note of, because I know Killa, we didn't really want to get into that stigma that people try to point in terms of like how, you know, his soul left this earth. But you know that I watched the Joe Budden podcast. Shout outs to them and their whole team. And Joe Budden became very emotional speaking on actually his relationship, as you know, usually the passing celebrities and a lot of people, you know, think and reflect on their time. And I had no idea of the relationship that Michael K. Williams and Joe Budden had shared. And, you know, he was fighting through tears, just explaining actually that, you know, the church that his mother goes to every Sunday, Michael K. Williams actually had gone to that church religiously as well every Sunday, and different meetings and stuff as well. And through that, I guess Joe, like seeing him there when like dropping off his mom or whatever, he too had been like, you know what, I'm gonna come to church. And through that, they had actually built like, and you know, going to church, how that is after church, there's certain people that you kind of always hang out with, or you have the reasonings after church. And that was the relationship that the three of them had built. So when people were kind of seeing those images that he was posting with his mom and Michael K. Williams, like, I cannot judge anyone's relationship, but just based on the experiences I've gone through, that seems like a really real connection. And he was in tears speaking on just the fact of sometimes people like Michael K. Williams that have given us, as you said, possible light work out there and given us so much, how like we have no idea the demons and what they're fighting with so much inside, even though they're giving us so much light and life on a consistent basis. And you know, the work it takes to give that, even though that is not what you may be feeling on the inside. And you know, through as well watching Joe Budden continuously and learning him more as I do, you know, with studying and stuff, it's just like he's definitely fought a person that I put into that category as well. So seeing him, you know, fighting through his tears, explaining all of this, it really, like, I empathize a lot. And everyone else, you know, that is affected. That's why I made sure to say anyone that was triggered or affected by this, because it brought up a lot. It brought up a lot. So once again, condolences to Michael K. Williams, and thank you for everything that you have given. If anything, I kind of always would put him and Don Cheadle, even though their bodies of work are different, but those are two Black kings that I was like, yo, they're in so much and they do a lot. Like Don Cheadle is one of I don't know why people don't talk about it more, but he's one of like honestly my favorite actors in the range of everyone to this day. So with people like Michael K. Williams, when you look at the bodies of work that they choose, simple to reasons why I love, and even know he's not Black, but simple to reasons why I love actors like Keanu Reeves. And I'm like, every day I'm just like, please don't say nothing racist or make nobody tell me you said nothing bad, because I look at as an actor, I know that the bodies of work they choose to be a part of, if they are given the choice, that speaks to their work, as we're saying, their body of work. And I look at the things that Michael K attaches himself to. And it was, as I said, Black Market was a piece that always stuck with me, because he went places that I never would have thought to go or think, and understanding, you know, those Black markets and those dark worlds, and seeing the light of those people, and not carrying the stigma that like main media would want us to think about these people. So thank you, King, and may you rest easy.
Rest well. See you again.
Yeah, see you again. I hear that song that they play at every Jamaican funeral. Da-na-na-na-na. And you will make it through. Everybody have ball, everybody have ball. But rest easy, King. Like, rest easy for real.
Amen. Thank you for living in your light, yo. That, like, you think it's supposed to be the easiest thing, but it's the one thing that the world keeps telling you you have no right to do, and you just fucking did it. And you did it to the end.
Facts.
You're blessed. And thank you for leaving us with that.
Thank you. Thank you. So moving forward, let's keep it on a brighter note. Killa, I remember, I want to say a couple months ago, but you were in my DM sending me about voting or in support of, if it wasn't you, it was either Shauna, I could be confusing it, but someone sent me to vote. And then no matter what story I would see from my Toronto, like girls that I love to support, because I don't know y'all, some of y'all in real life, but I be fucking with what I see on the gram. And I said, all right, whatever. It's a Black girl from Toronto. Let me shove in this vote. I don't know what it will do, but let me shove in this vote. All right. And I know heavily every day I see in Killa's story, like promo. And Shauna was so humble. I didn't even put the 2 and 2 together. I was just like, whatever, support, because that is what we talk about. So we got to practice what we preach. I'm similar to even like Antoinette in the past. She's gone for like stylist things or whatever. You send it to me, I'm a vote, because that's what we do. And so happy for Sasha, aka Flaws of Couture. She has won the SheinX 100K challenge, and she was the one out only Canadian Toronto gal in there, and she came and she showed out, and everyone that was in support of her. Shauna, I'm so proud of you. You know, now you're able to share the content of all like the sleepless time and all of that you've been putting in with your ice and, you know, just like doing what y'all do. And there's a whole conversation I want to have about that, but Killa.
Well, that's my sister. So obviously I'm having a joyous moment for my sister, because if you know anything about Shauna, you know Shauna is fashion and fashion is Shauna. And Shauna's never wanted to do anything other than fashion. And fashion's always been her life, and it's never not been her life. And that collection has been living in her head rent-free for like 10 or 15 years. I don't know if it has, but I know it has. And I seen the pieces, and I was like, that's my sister. So Sasha, congratulations. Like, you're on fire. I'm so happy for you. But you know, Big Sis is so happy for her sister.
Yeah.
All the conversations we've had, and she's just like, when is it going to be my time? Because my sister's not somebody that runs with the track, but like she's very much like on her own tip, and she's sometimes felt like being on her own tip has been something that's not helped her prosper. But to know that she stayed on her own tip, she's now Shauna Karasi, and that means a whole lot in the fashion industry.
Yes. Thank you, Lord. So let me play this clip.
Every single person, everyone, just everyone, like not one person was out of place, every single person that was involved in this whole experience has literally like changed my life. And like I really would never dream that something like this would happen to me. Like you just feel like, you know, when you gotta get it out the mud, you're probably gonna have to get it out the mud your whole life. I'm so blessed and I'm so grateful to God for guiding me this whole way. Honestly, like I'm just so grateful to be here in this space, sharing it with you guys. They are literally so talented. Like, I'm so happy that I'll be able to really, really do something.
And that, like, who? I never met Sasha. I've worked with people that have worked with her, but I'm never one of those. And as people are learning more and more, I'm not one of those people from Toronto that are like, oh, you're not attached to this. I won't work with you. I won't support you or whatever. Somebody showed me a Black girl, period. She could have been for whatever, but thank God she was from Toronto, where I was born and raised from, and definitely wanted to show my support in whatever capacity I could. And that just took a few digital clicks, literally. So, I have been like following the story quietly on my little journalist. So seeing the end result, it was just really beautiful. And like, it inspired a couple of thoughts. I was hoping we can like engage in this conversation. And that's why I want to play that clip, because as you're speaking on how Shauna would like speak to you about things, and you can clearly hear Sasha being like, yo, when you're getting it out the mud and working out the mud, and, you know, another layer also being from Toronto, and we know how that out of the mud feels as well. And it was so beautiful. It was just like, it was so poetic. I think about, like, as I said, from the time when people were sending me stuff to be like, here, like voting, to like this end result, like it especially, like I said, if you're from Toronto, especially, you can do it. And this story is another story that I'm going to attach with Drake. I'm going to attach with The Weeknd and others, and attach with Killa, to be like, you can do it. You can make it. And like, do not stop. Like, and when you are prepared, let me tell you, when I first seen them Raptors pieces, those Raptors pieces, I had no idea it was your sister Killa. And I was like, this shit is fire. No idea, no linkage, no nothing. I was like, this is fire. Okay. Her seamstress work clean. Okay. When you put in those 10,000 hours, and you remain consistent and you follow and you remain true and in your light to what God has destined you to do, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Black women supporting each other, working together. They definitely have gone through a lot of dips and valleys, and whatever, that is a part of the journey. And you got to respect the process, respect the journey, and do not stop for what you're going for. Don't let nobody that never done nothing of what you're trying to do or fathom anything come and kill your dreams and tell you how you're supposed to do it, how you got to do it. Nah, you do it well. That way, when the opportunity arises, the skill set was there. The preparation was there. The long nights of already staying up, having to probably create a whole piece and just fling it out because the shit just didn't look right. And being at the level and the caliber of designers, stylists, and all those women were in seamstress, like, you just got to throw it out and start all over, because it's that's the bar that you're setting. That's what we're working towards. And that's what I don't want any less for myself. Fuck what other people want from me. I don't want any less for me, for myself. And all of that fruition and all of that hard work. And this is not the only thing that Sasha and your sister and everyone has ever worked on, you know, but more like highlighting with Sasha and stuff, where it's just like, that girl's been putting in work. I've been seeing her promoting for body positivity, working with other people around the city, doing what she needs to do, showing up every day, regardless of what people... Showing up every day. And showing up doesn't mean making a post on Instagram. Showing up, you can show up in so many different ways. But you got to show up. Every day in some way, Killa shows up for BigKilla.com. Every day in some way, I show up for DWNTWNWRLD.com. Like, we got to show up. We got to show up for what we want. And I'm so happy for these queens that they were out in LA, that they were out there with people of the status like Luxury Law. He's one of my favorite designers. Every time I don't even have to see his name, bro. I can see someone wearing something. I'm like, that's Luxury Law. That's Law Roach. I know it. Because that, and now we can look and be like, that's Shauna, that's Sasha, that's Flaws of Couture. Thank God.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. And at the beginning and end of it, it's God. But for me, it's also like, take the example and like really dissect it. That she said she didn't, when you come up out of the mud, you feel like you're always going to be trying to come up out of the mud. And she just felt like she's been blessed beyond what her vessel can hold. And she's grateful for it. And understand that, like, just take it even as a glimmer of hope if you want. Because we're in times where people are telling you a bag of things. There's a lot of misinformation running around. And it might be hard to keep your hope and your faith up in the middle of like a whole bunch of conflicting ideas, and understand that that's not a mistake. Misinformation is a tactic because you can't actually manifest on anything other than the truth. So if you don't know what the truth is, you can't manifest to get yourself in any other position or situation. So I'm saying, like, look at that and really, really take in the example of, if you're feeling like you're in the mud, if you're feeling like you don't know what you want, if you're feeling like life is crazy right now, that there's definitely something coming, and that your faith is actually more important than what the world is giving you right now. Like, miracles haven't stopped. Miracles are still happening. Miracles are still possible. People are still getting shit that they were never getting before. Like, there's a whole big world out there. God's still in control. You still got time. You still got possibilities. Like, life is big, and like, you're still here to live it. So just like take those things out of that as an example and like run.
Yes. Like, I could, like, there's so many angles of this that I could like dissect, and I would love to like just discuss, because it's just a prime example to just go off of based on everything we discuss on the show. Kill and I are always going to be talking about self-improvement, ways of just being a better human. That is what EFP, Eat Fruit Pod is about. You know what I mean? And literally, like, there's just so many levels to it. The fact that Sasha was able to know that she could secure a position in Shauna, secure a position. I'm sorry, I don't know the names of the other individual. I can only speak on, but secure those names and know that those people were prepared and ready to go with her to where they needed to go. Similar, I know, but we all know to some degree the story of Moses, you know what I mean? And he had that staff and he had to go through that water. And when they reached upon the water and, it was there, niggas were like, where are we supposed to go now? Like, what the fuck is this? Where are we supposed to go right now? And whatever happened, however you sum up the story, but that staff went down and that sea parted. It parted ways that it wouldn't have parted for anybody else. Why? Because they didn't have the staff. They didn't have the staff. You didn't have the key. Shauna, in this situation, she was leading with the staff. And when she parted that motherfucking Red Sea, she let niggas in with her. And I will forever respect anyone that does that. I will forever respect anyone that does that, because she could have simply went in there, been on her, oh, I'm from Toronto, this is me, and this is on me. Even within her midst of gratefulness and knowing that she had just won this whole competition, she still, you could see by how her fellow contestant people were even embracing her. You go on Downtown World Instagram, I posted the full IGTV from when they announced her name to, them ending it, but you can see the love that was in that room, despite it being LA people and however we may feel about that. I was picking up the body language between the other people and Sasha, you know what I mean? And let's just state the obvious. She was the biggest one there. Size, belly, arm, neck. She was the biggest one there, okay? And a lot of people would have fucking looked at that and been like, who's this fat thing? She's not going to win. What's she going to dress? Whatever body negative things people always got to say instead of being body positive. You know what I mean? And she ate that. It wasn't often no sympathy. You could even see in the clips when like Chloe was like interacting with her and stuff. Like I could feel the energy of Chloe being like, this girl, I'm about to link her as soon as this is done. I'm about to link her and have some fire stuff that nobody else has. Even better that her baby father's from Toronto, but you know, like in the sense of like the doors. Sometimes when we look at shows like that, or even the fact of her being there, niggas are not going to talk about the fact that she had a cooking show with her dad that was doing really well on YouTube. Niggas are not going to talk about the fact that like that girl shows up all the time, talking about stuff, going to events, as I said, styling people for their videos, working with anyone pretty much that will say yes and comes with the proper energy. No one's going to talk about that. You know what I mean? No one's going to talk about, as she said, you could hear the pain. You could hear that in her voice when she was talking about Out the Mud. And you probably didn't see the physical clip, but La Roche was literally like praise dancing over the Zoom, his hands up to the Lord as she was breathing that speech, that because you could feel it even though it was through the TV screen. And I want to let any of you know, especially if you're from Toronto and you're fighting from your dreams, do not stop. Keep going. Keep going. Do not stop. Like, that's the best way I could say it without like saying it over and over. Like, do not stop. Do not stop. It's your time. It's going to come. Cheer for others when it's time to cheer for them, even if you feel like it's not happening for yourself, because that's the shit that's going to help propel you further. Do it with a clean heart. Do it with a clean mind. Like, God will show up for you when it's time to show up for you. He will.
There you go. That's what it is. 3 big blessings. Shower it out, pour it out, met it out. It's a good thing.
Yeah. It is. You can tell I'm super excited. So that is where I'll leave it. Congratulations to you ladies again. Shauna, you're always in support of us. And, you always send love and light and anything that's happening with EFP, kill a sister. So big up yourselves.
It's a whole bloodline. It's a thing.
Okay. Okay.
Shit today. We got receipts, dog. More receipts.
More receipts. More and more. So
we do our taxes over here, and our dad's actually an accountant.
Okay. So there you are. There you are, everyone. Was there anything else you want to like add about just this whole like experience? I mean, your sister, I know you like obviously.
No. You want to know why? Because when you're where you're supposed to be, you get what you're supposed to get. And that's my sister's story, is that she's where she's supposed to be after everything she's fought for. And she fought for it because it was literally in her heart. Even before she knew what was in her heart, that shit was it. Fashion was in her heart. She is where she's supposed to be. This is nothing compared to what God's going to do for her.
Oh, yeah. Why me better put in my little request from now, because when them LA people, she gonna be hitting you with the like one of my other favorite inspirational stories like this, just like women from Toronto. I don't know if you know of the hairstylist Esther, but her thing would have been like Hair by E Styles, I think, on social media. For me personally, I'm like from the East End, Scarborough, big ups yourself. So basically West Hill, all of that. One of my friends is also like good friends with her. So I kind of been in and around, and just from her literally doing hair at G-Way to doing it in a salon to do it like to like now when legit celebrities come to the city, they hit her up, booking her. Most of the time, I don't even know if she's in the city. Like, you know what I mean? And that's another tangible story where I could be like, you know what I mean? Another, the Shop 20 Ink girls. I see them start from where they started. Shout outs to you guys, Steph, and they started from where they started to now they have multiple locations all over the city. And who knows, to be soon international. So it's there. We just got to show up. We got to not be bad mind. We got to stay focused. And that leads me to the point that I will just say here is that, I shared a tweet off of like some thoughts I was having just through reading and stuff, and I'll just share it with you. So after you write your to-do list, write your to-be list. What do I need to be to complete this list? I need to be consistent. I need to be focused. I need to be positive. So for me, things like, just as an example, I don't know, my task today is to go to the gym and work out. Okay, great. That's the to-do list. But what is behind that? What do I need to be to get that task completed? I need to be focused. I need to be serious. I need to be kind to myself because I'm usually not in that area. So that was just like another step of thinking that just like kind of helped blow my mind and help kind of put things in perspective. So I apply that to this. I apply that to whatever you're working towards in life, and just in terms of just being mindful and present to whatever you're doing. It's just, what do I need to be? Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. It's just like, take your life in your hands. You're hearing a lot of things, but like, it's your life. Take it in your own hands. And all of those things are initiatives that you're doing for yourself. Like, you're so used to your job telling you when you're supposed to wake up and go leave your house. You're used to a government telling you where and where you cannot go, or whatever you can and cannot do, whatever your rules are, that you might think it's okay to put a little bit more respect on anybody else's ideas, thoughts, or points of view. But really, like, you should really be honing your point of view. Like, in society, we're very much taught that it's okay to police somebody else's point of view. And I think that's completely wrong. I think you get yourself into trouble when you do that. And for me, it's just like, really do that. Work on what you're going to be. Are you consistent? Are you showing up as the person that's going to receive that blessing? And that is actually just a major point that I completely agree with. That's why I was silent. I was just like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there are things that can work against you, but in the I'm wearing shorts, never mind. I'm like, all right, I'm wearing shorts. Those are tiny white clothes in here today. Like, oh, child, what's happening? Like, yeah, like, these days it's just like, it's time to go inside. It's not a selfish thing. It's not a selfish thing. Like, you're here to govern this. You are actually here to govern this. Are you self-governed? Are you self-governed? Because if you're self-governed, maybe you're not listening to the government so hard right now. Maybe the government isn't bothering you so much right now. Are you self-governed in a way where you're like, ooh, introspection is needed? Am I consistent? Do I have consistency? Am I even asking myself those questions? And that's why I, like I said, had nothing to say, because you asked yourself a bag of questions. You said, here's my to-do list. Am I who I need to be? Life lesson right there. A very serious one. And like, right now it's a time of realignment. Trying to figure out what you're really about. A lot's happened. The ground that you were standing on last year is not the ground you're standing on now. Even if you're in the exact same place, there's been a zillion shifts. I've never experienced, as somebody who's like a weird energy bitch, so many shifts in a short period of time. Nothing's the same.
Nothing.
So the only thing you can do is create constants within yourself, but also, like, there has to be a removal of fear. So you do have to go out there. Like, I'm just like, do your thing. And that, what you just said is like, it's the little like 1, 2, 3 step made easy. But like, realize that what's going on within you is what you're going to continuously see outside. So like, you have power to change shit. You have power to be that person that's going to receive the things that you say that you want. Like, there can be alignment there. You know what I mean? And a lot of times they say that, like, oh, you know, you got to do the work. And it really is that like mental prep within.
Yeah. Period.
Very good.
Period. But also for the fact, acknowledging that, right? Because I've been so guilty of that. And that's why, like, it's just when it was coming out, I was like, wow. Because it's like, I am a task person. I am list. I'm a list for everything. So it's like, why did I never think of that? Right? In your mind you do, but something about writing it down alongside with that to-do list, it has been making a huge difference in my life and in my spirit and in preparation to do these things. So 1000% Killa, 1000%.
I love that.
Thank you. And I'm so Killa also want to discuss, we were like, what does vulnerability like mean to you?
What does it mean to you?
To me, like, I feel like it's one of those things where it could mean like so many different things, but for the sake of this conversation, being vulnerable, I feel like is being present. And like to further that, like, it's just, this is just my personal opinion, but it's just like, I feel like it's to be present, like to be vulnerable is to acknowledge what is happening, like directly in front of you. There's no facade, there's no daydream, there's no, this isn't happening to me right now. It's accepting literally the present, what it is, like, and what it isn't, like, and to me that's like vulnerability. And to me that is beautiful, because I feel like the more I'm like growing and learning, and I'm almost 30, where it's just like, and it's definitely Libra season. I'm seeing the skies doing like a lot. It's definitely on the horizon. And for that sake, I will also say like, that is part of being a better human. I feel like the more vulnerable I've been making myself is the better experience I feel I've been having as a woman, as a human, as a Black person. And the vulnerability doesn't always look pretty, I think, or feel good. I've recently been getting into this Gandhi's film. Like, I know of his story, but I'm watching like the film that's on Netflix, and I'm not finished yet. But at the beginning, like, he's here talking to people and trying to convince the people of India to kind of like be as one. And a lot of the specific things he was talking about was the fact of like, he was like, we will fight them, but we fight them because, like, basically he was explaining like they're hurt. Like, yes, they will bruise us, they will hit us, they will do like all of these things to us, but we will not engage with that. And it will not be short, it will not be quick, but eventually niggas will see that they are being cruel. They will basically see themselves through them being vulnerable. Like, that's how I seen it. So I was like, and when you think about Gandhi and who he is today, and I'm looking at these beginning stages of before he was wearing the clothes, before he was arrested and started wearing clothes similar to what his jailmates were wearing in honor of them, you know what I mean? That's like, Gandhi was vulnerable down to his very wife. When he started building the ashram, and like, he was like, yeah, you gotta go clean like the toilet parts. And she came to him like, I'm your wife. You're Gandhi. Why are you sending me to go clean no fucking toilet? Like, and it was that whole, he's like, here, that is not about that. Like, just explaining to her, like, that is even the whole point of the ashram to begin with. He's like, if anything, that's even more reason why you need to go and do this as my wife. And if that's not the case, then you need to leave. And that's how serious this man was dedicated to being vulnerable. Because as much as Indian people don't, you know, we be Black, we all that, but that's a different conversation for another day. But you know what I mean? And seeing how they were treated. So that is what I will say. What do you think like vulnerability means to you, like, Killa?
For me, it's definitely a positive concept. For me, vulnerability is a virtue in between truth and open-heartedness. I find that tapping into vulnerability, like, you've been taught that vulnerability leads to shame. And I feel like that's just like something that was taught as a mistruth, because, you know, I feel like vulnerability helps you manifest, and anything that kind of helps you do that takes you out of play with the system. Yeah, I've had a like interesting journey with vulnerability that I'm so grateful for, where I realized that like vulnerability may have made me feel like I had to acknowledge shame, but it got me through it. You know what I mean? Like, vulnerability shifted as I started dealing with my trauma. Vulnerability was something that I wouldn't want to touch because it would have had me open and my trauma had me closed up. Whereas now, I don't have that level of trauma anymore. And at this point, vulnerability is my story. It's my honesty. That's what I'm using if I'm talking to anybody, because I don't know why God has me having some of these conversations, but my vulnerability helps me be carte blanche as fuck with anybody who's talking to me about what I've been through and what my story is and what my belief system is and why it is the way it is. It's also helped me stay honest. Like that vulnerability and being okay with it and tapping into it as opposed to like pushing it away has made it so that I can be very honest about what I've been through and not really feel victimized or feel a negative connotation along with my experiences, but it helps me actually sort through it, be introspective, and be able to tell you what I got out of it. So this may have happened, it may have been lemons, but you don't even have to know about the lemons. You're just like, so I make lemonade. You understand? And that's, I definitely agree with your point of view on Gandhi, that he definitely made sure to live a very like vulnerable life, because you have to stay open-hearted to get your blessings. You know what I mean? But also you gotta have that truth in order to build.
Isn't that great? Like we were like, I'm thinking about like, even as you're speaking, like the amount of times my mom has beat me or slapped me for you talk too much, you chat too much. Not tell people that. While there's a healthy boundary to that. I do agree with that. But like in the way that we were raised, kill it. You know what I mean? Where it's like everything was kind of swept under the rug. God damn, shit was happening even directly there at home, and your parents would even really, discuss it with you. And to now be at this juncture in life to be like, my nigga, we were doing it wrong. And you hit the nail on the head. It's the trauma, that conditioning. So yeah, we were taught to be like this, to close it off. But as I get older, I realize the more I'm being blessed and the more things are happening, it's always been in the states where I've been vulnerable with pure intention. Like, you know what I mean? Because being vulnerable and vanity don't mix. Vulnerability and vanity do not mix. And I see that because I think of social media and people are here sharing a lot of things, but a lot of these things are very vanity based and vanity filled. You know what I mean? And that is not being vulnerable. That is vanity. So we cannot confuse the two. That word stuck to my soul. I don't know who it goes to, but I'm gonna leave it there.
They don't correspond. I do agree with that. There are different levels to the shit, but I mean, in terms of the difference between the two of those, like if it's not testimony, it's vanity. Everything is vanity if it's not testimony, because vanity is just like, it's there for no reason. It's a not a waste, but it's what's the word? Frivolous.
Yeah.
In the air. And yeah, if it's not that, if it's not that, it has to be testimony. So for me, like when it comes to the vulnerability, I wouldn't even look on the Instagram or on the internet to find it, because the internet has taught us to be way too performative. You know what I mean? And once again, that's the opposite. That's me giving you what I want you to see, not giving you what I am. I'm not telling my story openly. There's no openness to that, in my opinion. There could be some, but for me, what I'm seeing is like, there's not this. It just keeps becoming this. And then I give you what I want. Here, you take that. That's what you're allowed to get. And I don't know. That's one of the things that I'm thinking about when it comes to the internet. I'm always thinking about mental health issues, because I really, 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 really value my mind as a very special gift that God gave to me. And I've been thinking about that these days, where like, I'm tired of watching everything be so performative. I also don't want to be influenced to feel like being performative is the way to be successful. I don't want to do that. I'm not feeling it, and I'm not really built for it. I'm like my sister, I'm a loner. So I don't really feel like being part of that. And I don't want to say like I don't like the internet, but it's just like, I feel like there's a lot of virtues that get pushed, and virtues like open-heartedness, virtues like kindness, honesty, vulnerability. Vulnerability is a very strong place to be. It's a very strong stance to take. It's an extremely strong stance to take. And we've been told that it's something completely opposite. And I'm tired of the opposite being given to me. Like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, We're talking about Sasha Gay. We're talking about Shauna Karasi. We're talking about Michael K. We're talking about all these great things that happen from people who had that open heart and who just decided to shine and be themselves and not think about what anybody thought about it, not close up, not do anything like that. And I have to look and say, so what am I doing for myself at that point? And bring it into what I'm doing. And I'm just like, I don't know if these like conflictions can keep happening personally for me. Like, I don't know if I want my eyes to keep seeing these conflicts, even though I know vulnerability is good. I don't know if I want to see what the internet's telling me anymore. And I haven't been on the internet maybe for the last week or so. And for me, it was just like, I'm not clocking into it. I'm not clocking in to the Instagram job. And I instantly felt better.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe I just need to like take a little detox for a minute. But for me, it's just like, yo, what messages am I getting as somebody who is actually born a medium? I have to think about these things. And it all ties into what we're talking about, where it's like, you gotta be yourself. You can't really be worried about anything else. Like, you're here to let your light shine. I'm an oracle. You know what I'm saying? Like, actually in real life. And I had to take that in the last couple of years. Yeah, I've worked in restaurants. I've worked corporate. I've worked this. I've worked that, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, I am an oracle. Being an oracle is part of the I am for me. So for me, I actually have to sit down and say, how do you take care of yourself as an oracle? Can you actually take some of these virtues or these missed virtues that are getting sent to you? Are they playing with that? Are they playing with that like center, that sensor? Are you able to receive the messages that you're supposed to receive? And those aren't things that everybody has to think about. Not everybody has to think about those things, but I do. And I have to look at that and be like, I don't know right now if I can continue handling the misuse of virtues, since we're speaking on like the vulnerability and stuff. You know what I mean? And like, sometimes it's hard when you know you do have a walk to kind of like do good for other people, and you talk to somebody and they're lost in the sauce. And they're not lost in the sauce on some like, they just don't know, they're ignorant. No, they've been mistaught things and they really believe it. It's really hard to sit down and tell somebody, no, vulnerability is your best friend. I promise you, vulnerability is your best friend. And, you know, they're kind of just like, well, my fear tells me that I need to put the dukes up and call it a day. Like, I'm just kind of not feeling the switch out that we got to begin with. And that's pretty much where I am with protecting my vulnerability, per se. But yeah.
But I feel like when you say like protecting it, I don't feel like there is no protection for it. Like, that's really being like you said, it's stronger than people with guns and stuff like that.
You have people with guns with a whole media team that can run behind it and make their lies look true. And they're going to your eyes, your vulnerability, your ability to trust and have faith in the things that you stand on gets shattered or it gets shook. And not everybody can handle being shook and dropping a certain amount of fruit. They can't handle it. Not everybody can. Not everybody's there in their walk. Maybe I am now, but that's because I went through enough shit on my own to sort through it and realize what I was clinging to, what I was thriving through, what principles and concepts was I really taking in and making use of in those moments. You know what I'm saying? And it's the hypnopadia, it's the conditioning, it's what's coming to your eyes. I haven't been on Instagram, and I can tell you I've gotten my downloads, and I always get downloads, but I've only gotten downloads in the last week. I haven't been taking in any other random messages. There's a lot of messages that are out there that look like the truth, but really they're adjacent to the truth. So they're running along parallel, but they're not the same thing. Because either it is or it isn't. There's very little in between. You are or you're not. And I don't like that. As somebody who is a medium and an oracle, I don't like it. Because now I have to do more work to get rid of the shit that's not for me. That's not how your brain works. Your brain takes it in as long as it seeps in.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's what I was gonna say. I feel like with like even in your situation where you're, you know, taking a bit of a social media cleanse or whatever, like, and now in 2021, I see that as like the new, not the new, but like a new form of vulnerability, where it's just like, I am really happy for people when they're able or they have the luxury and could plug out and do that. To me, that is like a 2021 version of what being vulnerable looks like. Because as soon as you tell anyone in this day, oh, I don't have Instagram or I don't, they're looking at you like you're crazy. Like, what? Like, are you a human? Like, how are you surviving? Like, that's how it is. So it's just like when you're able to consciously plug out of that and be okay. Like even sometimes I definitely like I find myself reaching for my phone before my cup of tea. Nah, I literally am actively now stopping myself and being like, or if I'm noticing my body's natural reaction, I ain't doing shit. I'm just relaxing. Why is my natural reaction to pick up my you know what I mean? But that's conversations we know about. But being vulnerable, yeah, I definitely see it as something positive, as something beneficial, something great, because that is a huge representation of governing yourself. Because vulnerability is that, knowing that whatever's outside of like governing yourself, that is just what happens outside of, you know what I mean? You can still only, even like the beginning of the Gandhi movie, it literally starts with him getting shot, like in broad daylight, with like bare people around him, like, and he was just walking, and you're thinking in your mind, especially times like today, like, where is the security? Why is he wearing a bulletproof? But to like, ironically, we're having this conversation and watching this, and I'm like, yo, that is like like a peak of being vulnerable. He was with the people, regardless of that, what that meant. If you feel to have done that to me, well, then it's just my time to go. And it's just like, who, like, the strength in. Sorry, Killa?
I feel like that, I'm just a quick interjection. What you just said, that like it's your time to go. I feel like a lot of people were taught to fear that, as opposed to like taking in the space between that and what it is that they're doing with it. Like, it's time to go. Like, I really feel like Michael K did his work. You know, I don't feel sad. No, I'm not gonna see him in amazing movies anymore. Yeah. When I look back at what he left, he spoke to me. Yeah. What he left. Yeah. And it's the same thing. Like, it's like, don't be afraid to go. Like, be more concerned with using what you got. Yes. Sorry, just interjection.
No. And like that's like hitting, like.
When you said it, I was like, that. The fact that like, it might be time to go. And you're not supposed to be so like hooked up on when it's time to go. It's like, not everybody dies. Sorry, everybody dies, but not everybody lives. Like, what did you live? Did you live? And then who knows what happens? Like, I can't be upset about Michael K. And that's why I didn't want to talk about the circumstances. I wanted to talk about all these awesome things that him embracing his life brought to us. We just thought that they were movies and videos and him looking like the person he's supposed to look like on set. But really, just like, I made the choice to be this person because this is who I thought I was supposed to be. Yeah.
And honestly, I'm flashing because you guys know I'm a TV show lover. I'm a movie lover. Like, I always have references for days. But like, I'm sitting here reflecting as you're saying that, Killa, and I'm like, every one of those like documentary type or like biopic movies that I've watched, in that interchanging moment that the movie like portrays for them, it was literally the moment when they decided to become vulnerable. When I felt like I was at home and I had enough of what was happening around me, and yes, I was too young and all these things, but I said to myself, based on the conversation we're having, now that I'm reflecting, I'm gonna be vulnerable and I'm okay with that. Whatever that cost is. Because in here, it was too much toxic. It was too much. It wasn't allowing me to be myself, even though it wasn't fitting. And I was conditioned at that time to think, yo, if you're not fitting into what's happening around here, there's something wrong with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's no right or wrong in the situation. It's just, yo, like, I was ready to be vulnerable. Word. Michael K. Williams, I was watching a video with him dancing, one of those, like, you know, like in New York, whatever, yeah, the parks, ballparks, everyone just kind of chill, man's playing chess and stuff. And he was going in with the dancing, and he looked fire. And like, you know, sometimes, I don't know for you, but I remember younger being like at church and like sometimes you see like during praise and worship how certain people would just get into it, and that in a sense you would see that reflecting and literally vibrating to the room. Because I went to a Pentecostal church, which is similar to Baptist for those of you watching, so it was just like through that reaction in the room you would see people literally getting into spirit. And it's just like that, when someone decides to be vulnerable, look at the change it invokes on everywhere else. Like like being around you, Killa, I have no choice but to be vulnerable. But to like, and that's what being around you invokes out of me. You know what I mean? So it's just like when and like, and those of y'all that don't know Killa is Killa. So it's just like that is so strong and beautiful. And like I know I always talk about, but like I really like admire that about you, people that are able to do that, because look, it forces the others around you to change, whether they want to admit it or not. How do you deal with someone that's governing of themselves? How do you deal with someone that knows themselves, that knows, no, I'm not doing this right now? And it's not a further conversation. It's not up for opinion. That's being vulnerable. Like, who? Yeah. So I am with it. I feel like in through like Sasha was vulnerable. She didn't, you know, Shauna Karasi wasn't vulnerable. She didn't say, "Oh, girl, you need me to go to LA with you? Oh, this too much. It's nah." They were like, "Yo, nigga, we don't know what's about to happen, but we're about to get flued out to LA and do what needs to be done." Vulnerability. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Amen in chat. Right? Ooh,
right. Like I've been wanting to take so much notes throughout this. I'm gonna just have to watch back and write it down after.
Honestly, I feel like this episode, you know, when you're in New Orleans and they have the funerals, but it's a whole party down the street, and everybody's just like, "We love you, nigga. You my nigga. I'll remember you forever. I'm gonna name my first child after you. What? You made this and you left me. Yeah." All the way through.
All the way through.
Funeral, I'm just like, I love that. Not saying that it's my time, but I kind of want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Want everybody fucking losing their shit.
Yeah.
And just freeing up themselves.
Honestly, I've been entertaining the thought more of that. Like even we were speaking on all those, but we could definitely have that conversation another time. But like it's definitely made me think about, like you said it perfectly a couple sentences ago, Killa, where you're just like, yo, yeah, dying, but what did you do when you were here? What did you do with that time? And I'm definitely reflecting on that more, and it's not about me, but I'm definitely going to be as vulnerable as God needs me to be to get the work done, and wherever that leads me, thank you, God. From now, forever, morning till night, thank you, God.
You know what the fun thing is? Like people hear you say things like, "It's not about me," and you're just like, oh, "What? It's not about." So what? Why would you want me to do that? Because at the end of the day, it's not about you, but it runs right back into you. You know what I'm saying? Like you fulfilling your destiny, even if you don't think that it pertains to you, it pours back into you. And that's when you're actually happy. That's when you're actually feeling like you're successful. That's when you're actually just sitting there and looking at the clouds move, because you don't have a zillion effing things in your mind making you feel like you can't enjoy the little and the big things. So that is pretty large indeed. Everybody dies, but not everybody lives, and that's all up to you.
1000%. So what else did you want to discuss, Killa?
Honestly, yeah, I don't know. I'm good. Were you down for psychedelics today, or you're not really about psychedelics today?
I am. Like, let's go for it.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I mean, because I don't want to talk about it, there's all sorts of other things that come out of it. And that's what I'm loving about this episode, is that in life, there's death, and in death, there's life. So I was thinking about the fact that Mr. Williams was very open about a lot of the things that he was working on. And like you said, with the Joe Budden situation, it kind of shows you that light workers don't always have it the easiest. But, you know, it's just about how much balls you kind of have within yourself to say, who cares? This is my experience, and I'm gonna do what's best with it. Mm. And I was just like, you know, for a man that seemed so vibrant and knew he did have like certain things that he was working on, would he have benefited from like treatment with psychedelics for mental health issues or even for addiction issues. And it's something that is resurfacing now in the last maybe 5 years, I'll say, that like we're back to trying to get into research when it comes to psychedelics. But I've seen a lot of treatments with magic mushrooms or LSD that have actually helped people even in this day and age now that we're opening back up to it. But it was something that scientists were looking into in the 1950s, and they found a lot of promising results, but off the strength that it was a controlled substance and we had the whole war on drugs, research for those kind of things got shut down, and it just became blackballed as a Schedule I narcotic, which I keep finding interesting, that a drug like marijuana or a drug or like, I'll say magic mushrooms, can be considered a Schedule I narcotic, when in order for you to have that, it has to have absolutely no medicinal value. Here we are again. So like shrooms is that new ticket to like life. And really, I'm looking at the drug situation with the pharmaceuticals. Like, are you still trusting pharmaceuticals in this day and age? I'm asking you that. I'm going to give you a second to answer. Everybody asking you. I'm asking anybody who's listening. Do you still believe in pharmaceuticals? My uncle was giving me showed me this thing about like the medicine man versus the doctor, and how we've been conditioned to buy into the into the doctor and not believe in the medicine man. When low key, the doctors are taking the premises and the ingredients from the medicine man.
Chemically enhancing
crush up to dry your mushrooms outside and crush them up and put them in a tea, and that's not psychedelic. There's medicinal mushrooms too that are not psychedelic that also help, and it's like we don't know to trust the earth, but also to trust our instincts. We're trusting in what replaced those things, and I feel like it's yet another bridge when it comes to health and care. And I was just gonna ask, like, if you had the opportunity to do a guided trip that was supposed to help you maybe with a block, a breakthrough, or with an issue that you felt like you were toiling with, would you do it? Would you be open to like an alternative method? Also, like if you were on antidepressants, would you think of an alternative treatment with, say, microdosing of psychedelics or magic mushrooms or something like that? Would you be open to that? And if so, why? If not, why?
Well, we've definitely had conversations about this. And I definitely, we've definitely had conversations about it, and like, I'm open to it. I'm just like, obviously wanting to build more information and knowing like how I'd respond and everything. But based on like what I've heard, it's definitely something that I would try. And like, I definitely, the more and more, as I said, like learning about stuff and the separation between like the holistic or the medicine man and like our doctors, like it's such a system. It is such a system. And as most of us are learning now and know. So with that being said, I'm even mindful of the things I even share with my doctor these days, because they are conditioned to respond in a certain way, and you can lose your rights.
Does that scare you at all?
Definitely. But now that I'm aware of it, and as Black people, we've had a lot of practice on how to maneuver in different worlds while being us, i.e. in corporate worlds, all of that, talking to as Black people all the time, we'll talk about putting on our white voice and stuff like that. So in that sense, it doesn't make me like, we're already equipped to kind of deal with situations where we gotta, adapt in that sense. But the only thing, like I've even heard about stuff like the DTA. I know Mike Tyson, a lot of people are always talking about it. I would definitely, just in terms of stuff that we talked about, wanting to like learn on my purpose more and being more into with like my ancestors, for those reasons, I would definitely be more open to taking something like that. And like even with Michael K. Williams or people that may use drugs a lot or whatever. To be honest, I remember even like taking classes and learning stuff about like people who even have suffer from alcoholism and stuff like that. But you cannot just stop like taking it. Like whatever it is, you cannot just stop like cold turkey taking it, especially if you're at a certain level of like drinking or taking certain drugs. Like you have literally have to be slowly weaned off of it. Even a baby, because those of you who want to like be judgmental and shit, even babies that when they're born and they're not able to go with their parents right away, and you'll see them in that incubator at the hospital and they're being super drugged up. Let's be honest, there's a reason why the doctors leave your ute for like a week or however extra after they're done fully treating your child, because you literally have to be slowly weaned off of whatever you're taking. You can't just cold turkey stop like that, because that's actually what sends you into other states of like schizophrenia, all that other stuff. So I 1000% like, yeah. I'd be with it.
And when you look at like the side effects of like mushrooms versus the side effects of like antidepressants,
the down is way
like
yeah.
day and night. It's like, hey, don't take as much mushrooms and you won't feel so crazy during your trip. You know what I mean? Like all you got to do is adjust your dosage, and obviously somebody's going to have to assess whether or not you are right for that particular type of therapy. But I think we just have to have an open mind about what drugs are and what I'm going to choose this word, what health solutions really are. You know what I mean? Because it's like you look at a bottle of pills, and as much as you consider them drugs, your mind says that's the solution. But that is actually drugs. If you want to put a war on something, put a war on that synthetic shit that kills your liver and your kidneys, but then also gives you a bag of side effects that you never asked for to fix something that it doesn't actually fix. It just deals with the symptoms of. Interesting. Versus something like a psychedelic mushroom that might make you see kaleidoscopes like my shirt, but at the same time, it'll help you, it'll help your brain fire in ways that it hasn't been able to fire in the last 5 years. So you get to use all sorts of neurons and brain passages that can actually help you come up to a solution. And at the end of it, you feel uplifted and happy. And the only real side effect is you might shed 5 tears.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're going to therapy to understand that anyway. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like having that open mind, and once again, decolonizing and just kind of like sifting through your conditioning and figuring out what's really serving you versus what's not serving you in this day and age. That's and having that open mind to say, all right, well, I mean, what you said ain't necessarily what it is. So I'm going to try this over here. Cause like, it's about track records at this point. Facts. And I'm excited for the future of psychedelics, because we started that conversation again. And I was looking into the research. They've started bringing that research back. Shout out to Vellum Health, who is a shroom company and is actually owned, half Jamaican owned.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And like, I'm not afraid to take drugs. I fit the profile for somebody that's supposed to take drugs. And that's another thing that I'm saying with Mr. K. Williams, why I really feel like his job was to be a light worker, because there's just certain things about certain personalities that aren't supposed to be afraid of the unknown. So being super intelligent and not being afraid of the unknown, you're going to take drugs. I have no problem with drugs. Do I research? Well, go on. Before I even think about those drugs, yeah, people are like, oh, so have you taken coke? No. Oh, you know, I tried it once. Cool. I researched it and I don't really like the effects on your body. I don't like how it interacts with your body. It kills like soft tissues in certain places. I don't want to take that. So I wouldn't. But like I researched LSD. One day my friends were like, hey, we want to take LSD today. Do you want to? And I was just like, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm going to go research it. And when I researched it X amount of years ago, that's when I found out about all of the psychedelic research and like helping people with their mental health and addiction and all that kind of stuff. But like, it wasn't really the thing. You know what I'm saying? But like I was able to do a certain amount of research before I even took shrooms, before Tilly was like, yo, take this microdose. Yo, don't eat no meat and let's take these shrooms. And to like build the relationship that I've built with these little mushrooms is actually awesome. My cousin came over maybe about a week ago. Shout outs to cousin Cher. She came through and like she brought a little mushroom and she's like, I don't know if this is enough to have a trip. And that day
like, that's more than enough.
No, actually it's not. This is not.
Oh, I thought you were saying like a whole. I was like, oh shit, that's more than
a little mushroom. It was like the cap was like that big.
Okay.
Like, side note is that morning we had a very serious conversation, and it was one of those like we realized that this is the end of a huge phase in both of our lives, and like things are happening, and like you kind of have to toil with what you think you know or what you've been taught about an ending when you're coming to an ending. Because like your natural inclination is to hold on, but also to instantly start mourning what you think you're going to lose. So that's the basis of the huge conversation. She came with the shroom this big. She's like, I don't know if this is enough for like a journey. And I was like, no, it's not. But it will go together with the hero dose I've been saving for my huge fucking brain. Let's split that. And we did it. And like, remember I told you and T that it was me getting brought to the burning bush to have a conversation with the burning bush. Yeah. And I don't need that right now. Yeah. So when she brought it up, I was like, I don't know. I thought about it, the other day, but I don't feel like I'm in need of a breakthrough right now. And we took it anyway, because it was one of those like, yo, if we're going through it, might as well. Let's just do it. It was a great experience, because now I'm realizing that my intuition is tapping into the shrooms now. So now when I'm getting downloads, my downloads are different. I'm getting downloads while I'm high. You understand? And like to anybody listening, they're like, what the fuck is this girl talking about? No shit, you get downloads when you're high, because you're high, ha 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 ha. And I'm just like, no. No. You feel the change, and you feel the level of participation that you have in these downloads. You don't feel like things are happening to you. And I'm looking at how like God was like, all right, cool. You shared your last hero dose that because I've never hallucinated. And I want to know. I want to know all these things. Like I started off slow. I did the microdosing. I figured out how I kind of feel about it. I got comfortable. I also talked to people who did shrooms. Yeah. Also, side note, shrooms kept coming up in the conversation, and people kept making sure that I understood it's a spiritual aid, It's not a party drug. Like you gotta take that stigma away from it. Didn't need to, but it just kept coming to me. And knowing that this is what's going on, just from like doing my own research and kind of like going for it myself, it's been an interesting like ride, and I feel like shrooms should be part of my life forever. I'm now going to have mushroom farms, because at the end of the day, I watched that documentary and I was like, it's not about the high, it's about the healing. And like, imagine you can just grow these little things out of the earth that are as old as humans, if not maybe slightly older as humans, and like carry all this knowledge in their neural cells that we can process in our brain. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here for shrooms. I'm totally 100% advocate of it. And I just kind of brought it up on some like, hey, are you ready to let go of the stigma? Or like, would you be willing to like research through it and see whether or not like it's a better option for you? And I still feel like it's kind of new, and most people would be like, but it's shrooms, but it's drugs, but it's shrooms, but it's drugs. And I'm like,
but take Tylenol and Advil and aspirin every
fucking
fucking day.
And I'm just like, but there's more possibilities out there.
Right.
Yeah. And I was also thinking like, I have friends that are actually studying to become like meditation guides. And like, they're saying that, hey, if you do need a breakthrough, you can do shrooms with me so that you're not necessarily going down this road by yourself. And it's like, it's what you don't know that's really has you tripped up on it.
Yeah, no.
Right. So I'm just like, there's all these options that aren't necessarily like Pfizer. You know what I mean? Like Johnson & Johnson, or formerly known as Johnson & Johnson, or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like it's not packaged in plastic, literally or figuratively. And it's just like, sometimes you have to put some light on something that hasn't been made the path of least resistance.
Yes.
I love shrooms.
All right, guys. So you have it there. Killa loves shrooms. I've never done, but who knows, right? So that was a very beautiful conversation today. I hope you guys were blessed in some capacity. I definitely was. I felt like we had church today. And thank you guys once again for your support. And the CLB project did come out. I have been listening religiously. This is not a music podcast, so that's why we're not doing no review or nothing. But what I will leave you with is one of my favorite lines from the Drake album. And in the song, he says, "You know love, you'll love me like my child." And it's just as Toronto man as you can get. So I'll leave it with that. Shout out to CLB is great. Right now, Canada has a top 10 out of the Hot 100 on the Billboard, which is like...
I disagree with what I've heard so far. I disagree. I want Take Care Drake back. I want Drake
You know love. You love me like my child.
I want him to bring back his genius and stop pushing this fuckboy rhetoric. Stop it now. It's the same as everything else. Like I'm tired of the system telling me what the fuck it is I'm supposed to be thinking. If I see somebody with a great mind, I want them to use it a little bit better, other than telling me about Galchester and who he in the streets when he ain't in these streets.
Jeez.
You're a genius to do better. No lie.
Honestly, but I'll leave that alone. So yeah, support and be vulnerable. I feel like test it out, dip your toe. And it doesn't have to be something big. It could be with food. It could be with, I don't know, a conversation, someone. It could be something of yourself. But practice a little bit of vulnerability this week, as I will continue to do so. And just have it with an open mind and see how that goes. And let us know how it goes. Like, I definitely, as I said, I've been practicing it more. And I've been having a lot of beautiful results. So I hope it is the same for y'all. And Killa, shout outs to your merch and Scrubs Day. I definitely want that shirt. Like, I don't know if you want to give off that one that you're wearing today, like on your back, but I want that one. Those are the ones you're at your friend's house and you just, thanks, Killa. So yeah, I am that friend. I come by your house. Do you have socks? I'm wearing your shit. So hide your shirt if you don't want me to take it. I'm telling you from now.
See that if y'all don't buy it, she gonna take it. So
I love that was super fire.
Thank you.
Super fire. Yeah, I love the color. Like you got it on points. Yeah. So love you guys. I really love this conversation. I hope you are blessed. Let's practice some vulnerability. Killa.
Yeah, sending out that love, harmony, and